Hello, good evening. Ay nako, nagbablog ako ngayon, but this time it has something to do with an institution. You know, today is October 1, and October 1 is very important to many people like me who had been a part of this institution, which is celebrating its 117th anniversary, foundation anniversary. And of course, no other than my Sintang Paaralan, Polytechnic University of the Philippines. The biggest university in the country in terms of enrollment or student population, 71,000 plus, no? Students enrolled in the different campuses, with Manila campus the biggest campus. And you know, I spent 35 years of my life in this institution. I came here in 1977, July 1, 1977, and I left it on November 5, 2012. So, but I did not completely leave the university because after a semester, after my retirement, Sanjay Claudio requested me to handle a subject or two in the graduate school where I served as dean for 4 years, and I accepted it. And every now and then, meron pa rin naman akong pagkakataon na makadaupang palad ang ibang mga kasama, mga batang nakatrabaho, naturuan, at naging bahagi ng aking buhay nung ako ay nagsisilbi pa sa PUP bilang dekana ng College of Arts at bilang dekana later on ng graduate school. Kaya napakadaming memorable experiences. And I would say my life at PUP, I would describe it as colorful, challenging, and very exciting. Well, again, let me just be a little bit a historian tonight by bringing you to the past of PUP, which started as Manila Business School in 1904 until C.A. O'Reilly, and this was done in response to the demand for the training of personnel who can serve in the government as well as those who can be employed in the business sector. And they were trained to have skills in typewriting, bookkeeping, and stenography. Where was it housed during the time it was founded? It was housed in an old Spanish building at the foot of a small bridge in San Rafael Street. But later on, it transferred to a house at the corner of Lulong Bayan, which is now the Rizal Avenue. And the corner of Lulong Bayan Street, now Rizal Avenue, and Dolores Street, which is now known as Bustos Street in Santa Cruz, Manila. So yun ang dalawa sa kanyang naging unang bahay. That was in 1904. In 1908, the school was converted into an insular school, and then later on renamed Philippine School of Commerce. So from Manila Business School to Philippine School of Commerce, and it offered intermediate curriculum, no, and a 4-year secondary course in commerce. Then also in that particular year, it transferred to Arlegui Street at the corner of Gunao Street in Quiapo. Nag-transfer na naman to a building adjacent to San Miguel Church, yung nasa may Malacanang. And stayed there, nagtagal naman, 12 years siyang nanatili doon. So I wrote an article about the institution being a nomad. Ang title ng article na yon, which I wrote in 2004, was A Nomad No More. No, A Nomad No More. And in 1911, it was placed under the supervision of the city school superintendent for administrative purposes. But it retained its status as an insular school. Parang provincial, something like that, no? Parang, kasi pag sinabi mong insular, so sobrang isolated, no? Then in 1912, it started to offer a 1-year post-secondary course in stenography. And believe it or not, the graduates of stenography of the school was actually very, very good. Dito nang galing yung mga naging mga milyonaryo na, at sila'y naging mga office managers. So ang daming naging very successful na produkto ng eskwelahan na ito. Then in 1933, it was merged. Nag-merge ngayon with the Philippine Normal School and the Philippine School of Arts and Trades. However, it was also it is continued to operate under the supervision of the superintendent of city schools. In 1940, President Manuel L. Quezon committed to set aside rather special appropriation para sa building for the Philippine School of Commerce. So, nagkaroon ng ganong ideya kasi nga napuproduce na ng magagaling eh. So, bakit naman palipat-lipat, parang kawawa, it's a no-bad, kung saan-saan pumupunta. In 1946, after the war, after ng liberation, siyempre lahat noon wasak, winasak ng gera, lahat. Pero alam ninyo, sa totoo lang, hindi naman dapat nawasak ang Maynila eh. Ang Maynila naman hindi binawasak nung pumasok ang mga Hapones dito na sphere. Pero nung pumasok na yung magliliberate na tayo sa mga Hapones, ang nabomba-bomba naman dyan, mga Amerikano talaga. So, ang mga buildings na yan nawasak not because of the Japanese, but because of the liberation forces of the United States of America. Kaya talagang nagkawasak-wasak. So, dahil wala nang wasak lahat ng mga building, ang eskwelahan na ito ay napilitan na mag-hold ng classes sa Philippine Normal Hall, sa isang hall ng Philippine Normal School, ng Philippine Normal Hall building. Doon sila nag-hold ng kanilang klase. At swerte naman, noong July 31, 1947, ay mayroong 2 building na tinurn over sa Philippine government ang mga Hapones. Ito yung building natin sa Lipanto na naibalik na ulit sa mga, I think na wala na rin sa ating tunay. But for so many years, andun tayo. Diyan tayo nandiyan talaga ang Philippine School of Commerce, which was later on in 1952 hanggang 1978 was known as the Philippine School of Commerce, PCC. Kilalang-kilala talaga yan. At napakagaling ng mga graduate, lalo na sa accountancy, sa business office administration. Ito yung mga nila nun eh. Tapos, that was 1952 when it became Philippine College of Commerce. Ay, nako, ito na yung magandang balita. Noong 1968, binigay ni President Ferdinand Marcos ang 11 hectares na lupa yan sa where PUP is now located, yung main building. Binigay yan ni President Ferdinand Marcos. And so, the institution was no longer a nomad. And nomad no more. Mayroon na siyang sariling kanya. At lumaki ang kanyang ang kanyang lupain, ang mga lupang nasa kanya. So sa after ng Santa Mesa, meron tayong nakuha sa after ng campus na yan sa Mabini, yung Mabini campus natin. Meron na tayo ngayon sa NDC, meron tayo sa dito sa may yung kay naroroonan ngayon ng Marcelo H. del Pilar Campus, yung sa graduate school, tsaka HRM natin, tourism. Yan. So, nadagdag. At sa iba-ibang lugar, sa Quezon City, I think, meron na rin tayo yata sa Parañaque, meron tayo sa iba't ibang probinsya ng Luzon. Lumaganap na tayo ng lumaganap, lumaki na ng lumaki. At hindi na siya isang nomad, hindi na siya nakikitira. That was in 1968. And finally, after so many years of existence as Philippine College of Commerce, as a collegiate institution, it had to be converted na into a university. And the officials of the college noon, or PCC then, headed by no less than Dr. Pablo T. Mateo Jr., started to formulate the blueprint for the conversion of PCC into a university. And the name was in the blueprint ay Polytechnic University of the Philippines. And on that very historic day of April 1, 1978, at the Philippine International Convention Center, I witnessed the signing of the document which converted the Philippine College of Commerce into the Polytechnic University of the Philippines by virtue of Presidential Decree number 1341. It was signed by President Ferdinand Marcos right there during the year-end commencement exercises in that year at the Philippine Convention Center. And I remember very well, one of the most important guests at the time was Dr. Francisco Dalupan, former president of the University of the East. I remember him very well because he came to the event on wheelchair. Naka-wheelchair siya. Accompanied by his very young, beautiful, and very caring wife. And kaya ko talaga na-remember siya nung gusto, unang-una, I was touched that, I was really, really deeply touched that a man who was already on wheelchair, not that strong, would still take the effort, would have the effort to come to an event to witness that very historic moment in the history of his alma mater, because he was a product of the Philippine College of Commerce. He was there. And when President Marcos signed the historic document PD 1341, a thunderous, deafening applause followed the signing. And I, as a witness to that, and I, as one of those who really worked so hard for the preparation of the document, I was really misty-eyed because it was difficult for us, the secretaries. I was a secretary then of the president, because we did not have computer at the time. We were using manual typewriters. And so, alam mo naman pag manual, pag nagkamali ka sa isang page, revise mo yan. So, revise na naman lahat yan. And so, ganun kahirap yung aming pinagdaanan dyan. So, Attorney Oscar Pereros, siya noon ang University Board Secretary. But we were happy. At least, yung pinaghirapan namin ay nangyari, naganap. It was over at the time. And so, we were able to heave a sigh of relief. At the same time, we were expecting so much kung ano talaga ang mangyayari na with the conversion of PCC into PUP. You know, isa pang pangyayari sa occasion na yon na I would always remember ay when President Marcos was about to leave the Philippine International Convention Center, ang mga tao ay tumakbo papunta sa kanya. At siya ay they went rushing to the president to have a photo op with him. And in the sea of people, may narinig akong isang boses, no, na babae, at nang tiningnan ko, ang nakita ko yung asawa ni Dr. Dalupan. Hinahanap si Dr. Dalupan kasi nasama yata doon sa natabunan yata ng mga tao. And then when she saw him, I could see yung na-relieve yung babae, yung kanyang wife. And I could only see care, deep love sa babae na yon para kay Dr. Dalupan. And then I started to think that it's a May-December, it's a May-December love, definitely. And I was telling myself, really, love knows no age. And at times, love knows no reason. And I remember this beautiful statement. Parang si Amy Marcos yata ang nagsabi nun na the heart has reasons which the mind cannot understand. Naalala kong bigla yun nung nakita ko yung paghahanap ni Mrs. Dalupan sa kanyang asawa. The heart has reasons which the mind cannot understand. Okay, lang yon, mga side lang yon para medyo may romantic tong ating PUP history na sinasabi ko sa inyo. Well, yes, I love PUP. Even if I am no longer going there, in my heart, PUP is engraved. Nasa puso ko talaga ang PUP. And kaya today, whenever someone would say something bad about PUP, I am angry. But at the same time, niisip ko rin, siguro, ba't ba ako magagalit? Kung sinasabi nila yan, ba't hindi ko maiwasan? Kasi nga siguro, PUP had been my bread and butter during those struggling years of my life, when I have to bring up my children and then trying my best to earn a living honestly and to serve the government dedicatedly, committedly. It was PUP who provided me with the experiences of how to become a leader. Perhaps whatever traits I have as a leader, I learn from those people I work with, especially Dr. Mateo, who was the president at that time when I started working with PUP. and to the many other presidents which followed him. Dr. Prudente, although I was not in the administration of Dr. Prudente, but I was a full-time faculty at that time, and then Dr. Hillior. Oh my, the struggle that we went through during the time of Dr. Hillier, that's another part of the history of PUP, which I could definitely be very, very knowledgeable about, because I was again part of that. And then after Hillier, under Dr. Olonan, and then after Dr. Carage, then after Dr. Salvador, and then under Dr. Guevara. So I worked with so many presidents. And since 1992, I've been in position until I retired. And so I have witnessed the struggle that the university went through until it reaches the glorious, until it reaches its status now. Not only a well-respected university in the Philippines, but in other parts of the world. And this we attribute to all the leaders who stirred and are still steering PUP to greater heights, from C.A. O'Reilly until the present administration of Dr. Manuel Muji. And PUP is a name, a giant, a name to reckon with, a giant in the field of education. And I, as formerly connected with the university, I am happy that I had spent the best years of my life in this institution. My life at PUP, I would say, was colorful, exciting, challenging. And PUP would always be a big part of my life. So, to my Sintang Paaralan, gagamitin ang karunungan mula sa iyo para sa bayan, mga kabataan. Tindigan ninyo ang mga bagay na turo ng ating mahal na Sintang Paaralan. Kayo na mga kabataan. Maraming salamat sa aking mga naging kasama sa PUP, at mabuhay ang mga namumuno sa PUP ngayon. Ito ang aking vlog ngayong gabi. Ito ay aking alay sa aking Sintang Paaralan. Ito ang aking buong pagmamahal na alay sa aking Sintang Paaralan, kung saan nandoon pa rin ang aking ibang mahal sa buhay. Happy 117th anniversary, Sintang Paaralan, Polytechnic University of the Philippines, Paaralang Dakila, Paaralang Pinagpala. Good night, bye-bye. Hindi ko lang talaga matiis na hindi mag-vlog para sa PUP. So ipopost ko na ito ngayon. Maraming salamat sa mga subscriber ko. Subscribe pa kayo sa akin. Magyaya pa kayo, sapagkat marami pa akong mga kwento. Kwento ng inyong lola, Amalia. Bye-bye. Good night. God bless.